Hello everybody, it is Teiozemo, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to actually mod any avatar into Bonelabs. So go ahead and buckle up everybody, because I'm going to show you all the procedures. Or pretty much mostly all. But first thing first, I'm going to drag over this webpage here. This is the GitHub for Stress Level 0, where they have the Mero SDK, which you do need to go to the site. You will be utilizing this. However, there is two big things you need first. One, you want to click on this webpage here, open up the tab basically, and you want to download Git. You're going to need this in order to set up the Unity project. And then of course, you will also need Unity. So you will need to also just go to Unity's website as well, and you will need to go ahead and get a particular version. The one you're going to need is under the 2021 series, and you're going to need the one that starts with what is it, 0.1, I think 3 and then 5 something. Hold up, it tells you which one you need. So you need Unity version 2021.3.5 F1. So that's the version that we need. So when we scroll down the site, you want this one, and you could get it through the hub, or you could just download the installer, but you will need Unity. However, if you're not going to be building mods for the quest, you don't care about making quest mods whatsoever, on the wiki for the documentation in the SDK, it tells you to basically enable, the Android build support when you're installing Unity. If you're not going to do quest mods, don't even bother installing the Android stuff. However, you definitely want to make sure you do have the Windows one. That one is definitely something you want for PC VR. If you do own a Quest and you want to make your mod for Quest, then get the Android stuff. Or if you decide to make your mod compatible for Quest and PC at the same time, then, get all the stuff. But, yeah. Other than that, time to go ahead and pretty much walk you through everything. So we're going to minimize that. I already have Unity pre-opened up. What is it? So once you already had Git installed, and then after you install that and you installed your Unity, you're going to hit create new project, and you're going to look for 3D URP. So this is what you want your project to be. And for the sake of this tutorial, we're just going to go ahead and call it test. And hit create. What I will do is, I'm going to go ahead and cut to when my Unity is fully open. So for you guys, it will be like a second when I am back up and running for you. Yeah, so I'll see ya in a second. Alrighty, we are back everybody. I got my Unity up and running here, so we is all good. So, first thing is first. Once your Unity is up and running, we're going to want to go back to that Chrome tab or whatever browser. You'll want to highlight everything manually for the first link, and hit Control C on your keyboard to go ahead and copy that. Go back to Unity. We're going to hit this tab called Window, and we're going to look for Package Manager. Once you go ahead and open that up, we're going to hit this little plus sign and look for Add Package from Git URL. This is why it's important you have Git installed, because now we're going to go ahead and hit Control V to paste in that link, hit Add, and it's going to add the first package. So we're going to let it do its thing and add the package. And while it's adding your package, go ahead and go back to Chrome and just start getting ready with highlighting the next link. Go back to Unity. I just minimized Chrome. There we go. But yeah, see, it's adding the first package still, so let it do its thing, add that package, but of course, get the second one ready. There we go. Once that first one is done, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, add package, paste in the second link this time, We're gonna hit add, let that add. While it's adding the second one, do it one more time to do the third one. This is how you install all the needed necessary packages in order to mod Bonelab. So you could strictly not skip this. You need this or else you are screwed. I was gonna skip this part entirely of just telling you add the link for all three, but my PC's fairly fast, so just let it do its thing, and then yeah, why not? Plus it shows you that they install successfully, so you shouldn't really have an issue as long as you have Git installed. I will say, do install Git before you install Unity if you don't have Unity, or at least after you install Git. If you had Unity open, just close it and then reopen it, because sometimes Unity will need to be restarted in order to know that you have Git installed on your PC for it to work. Or you can also just try to restart your PC after you install Git, just to 100% everything's all good. But there we go. We're gonna go ahead and do that third one, and then I'll show you how to fix the errors. So pretty much, I'm just following all the stuff through the wiki. However, I know a lot of people who probably don't like reading the documentation. Maybe they're better at visual learning and also hearing things. So, having a tutorial like this will help a lot of people out. Alright, but there we go. Now that we got these three necessary packages installed, we could just hit the little X on that box. You should be able to see stress level 0. At the very top of the window now. So we're going to go ahead and click that, go to Void Tools, and validate Marrow project settings. It's going to have 7 issues. You're going to hit Fix All. Let Unity go ahead and do the rest of the work for you. Let it fix your project. And then you're going to hit the Cool button, because you are cool. And now we are ready for fun. Oh, wait, it's still doing one more script assembly. Let it do its thing. Now we are ready. Alright. So, this is where I like to get started myself personally. Go ahead and, right click at the bottom where all the assets are at. And I always like to go ahead and hit a new folder. And then just call it whatever you want. In my case, I'm going to call it test. So, there you go. Open up test. I always like to go ahead and make another folder inside, and I like to call it textures. Open up that folder, and then finally right click a third time, but this time we're going to hit import new asset. So I already had my thing, I already knew where to find my files, but in case you don't know, just browse through your PC through all your stuff. And you go ahead and find your files. You can also just open up File Explorer and just have them pre-found already. I already have File Explorer pre-opened up over here, and I could just go to my files. Essentially all you're going to do is just make sure you find the location where they're at, and if you just go to the folder, you can just highlight everything and then just drop it into Unity. So there's that method of doing things. But once you get all your textures in the textures folder, so you're neatly organized, you're good on that part. We're going to just hit back to assets and then go back into test. And then in here, where you want the actual file for the model. So again, you could just find your stuff, drop it in, or you could also just use import new asset. Manually find your stuff on your PC, and then just hit import after you select what you want to import, and it will also import it as well for you. But once you got your textures loaded in and your model loaded in, time for the real fun. So this is where you actually start modding your character. So You might not have it selected, maybe you already do. If you did the model last, it should be the last thing that was highlighted. But basically, you'll just select your character anyways, in case you didn't get the inspector to pop up if it wasn't the last thing you imported. And you're going to go to Rig, switch animation type to humanoid. Make sure avatar definition stays as is, create from this model. You're going to hit apply. And then you're going to go to configure. Now here is where you want to configure your model if you need to. So my model's already configured. This is my model that was made by a good buddy of mine called Teiozemo. I use this all the time when I'm streaming as my VTube model. And he did an excellent job actually rigging my model. So Unity automatically already does all the bones for me. I have to do absolutely nothing. But if you have missing bones, or it didn't auto apply all the stuff, then you just manually have to go through and basically grab the bone. Like you can just click it and then drag, or you can hit the circle and then it'll like pretty much just do a little menu. See, you could click it and you could just select what you need. But for me, it's already done for me automatically. If you have a really properly good rigged model, then you just hit done. Leave it as is. Now we're going to get to the textures. We're going to go to the materials tab. We're going to find the section where it's called location. We're going to switch this to legacy materials and hit apply. So this will go ahead and already by default just start applying all the textures to your model. So as you can see, the model down in the assets section, it now shows the model with textures. So we are all good to go there. Pretty smooth. And even made a folder and called it materials. So here's all the materials. By the way, one little thing to also check before we continue, I would consider going into the materials, clicking on each one, and just making sure that they are using the universal render pipeline. It should be a default when you went ahead and did all the packages, but if it's not selected by default, then manually switch it to universal render pipeline lit PBR or workflow, because that's what you need in order to get it working on Bonelab. But now for a real fun part, we're going to take our model, we're going to select it, we're going to drop it in anywhere in the scene and switch the position to 0 on everything. Let's go ahead and also zoom in. And then there we go. There's the model. We're going to select it, or my bad, select it in the actual project now. This is also where you want to scale your model as well. I know my model by default is too big in the game by its default scale. For me, I found that 0.4 or 0.3 is a good size. I'm going to go ahead and do 4 on the scaling for my model, because I know that is a perfect size for me. So this is something that you might have to go ahead and play around with. Of just pretty much importing your model, see if it's too big or not, because I'm not really sure how Unity does its scaling. So I did a bunch of try and error of just typing in a bunch of numbers from like 0.1 all the way to pretty much the default 1 on each box, and then found that 0.4 was perfect for me. But once you got that set, you got the scaling and everything, now we're going to go ahead and start doing more fun here. So you're going to go ahead and also hit add component. You're going to type in AV and then pick the first option, avatar. We're going to add the avatar script. And this is where we start having some more fun. And pretty much almost close to finishing actually making our model, getting ready to put into Bonelab. You're going to go ahead and go to where it says meshes, body message. I am screwing up my English. And if it's not already by default set up for you, it's pretty much the same thing how I was showing you how I told you to configure your model when you first put your model in and you gotta switch it to a humanoid. You can hit this little button and select your meshes, and you just gotta select the correct ones. If your model is properly configured, all of this will be filled out automatically for you. In my case, it's already doing it for me how I need, and so you're gonna need to go ahead and have that set properly. And then we're gonna hit advanced settings, marrow bones, and then the only things you need is just wrist left and wrist right. And those are already set up for me, so it's my left hand and right hand. If they're not set up for you, same thing. You just hit the button and you go ahead and pick the correct bones, you know, for your hands. I don't have to mess with it, so it's all good. Once those two things that are necessary are done, we're gonna hit edit body. We're gonna just zoom in, and pretty much you don't really have to mess with these, but you could click on each one of these little balls and move them around on the model. But if your model is properly rigged, properly made, the Unity package or the avatar script will automatically configure your model for you. In my case, everything's already spot on. I don't have to touch anything. And then if you hit edit soft body, it basically allows you to adjust even more things. What is it? But I clearly don't need to do anything because my model is properly rigged, just ready for me to, you know, put into a game, which I love. We're going to do one more final step here for us. We're going to go ahead and right click on the avatar's name, and we're going to hit create empty in the hatchery section, and we're going to change the name of game object to eye center override. Now it's going to be loaded at the very bottom. All you have to do is grab the yellow or the arrow just pointing up. I don't know if it's yellow or not. I am colorblind, so fat rip. But you pretty much want to drag it all the way up until basically it's, you know, properly like centered between the eyes. We're going to zoom in, and then we're going to go ahead and look at it from the side. We're going to go ahead and select the arrow that is basically was originally pointing towards us when you were facing the front of the model, or this blue one. I believe it's blue or purple. And we're going to drag this until it's just basically pretty much has a small little gap from the face, and then we should be spot on, because that will be the viewpoint of being able to see. And I'll probably drop this down a teeny little bit. There we go. Now we're going to select the name of the model again, so we could go ahead and look back at the inspector. And right here where it says eye override on the inspector, we're actually going to click the eye override that we made in hatchery, and we're going to drag it and drop it into eye override here. And then you see eyeballs. And there you go. You got your eyes on your model, and we're pretty much almost done at this point now. So now we got legit just a few more steps to go. So we're gonna go ahead and hit this little triangle here so we could get rid of all the little boxes just to clean up the hatchery. We're gonna go ahead and click and drag our character down into the assets and hit original prefab. Now that basically clones everything but turns it into a prefab, and from there we are now at the final part where we have to be at. We're going to go to the top where it says stress level 0, void tools, asset warehouse, and we're going to go ahead and hit create palette. So you're going to go ahead and give your palette a name. In my case, I'm going to call it test. Arctor, you're going to go ahead and, you know, put whoever's doing the mod, or maybe the name of the model. In this case, I'm porting the mod over. This is my persona, so I'm just gonna call it Dwago. We're gonna hit create. It's gonna create this palette for you, and it's gonna say test, because that's what I called it. Now when you select test, you're gonna go over to the side. You could give it a description. In this case, I'm just gonna call it test in all caps. You could give it a version if you want to. In this case, I could just type 1, version 1, and then we're gonna hit add create. Now this is where it's important. You're gonna go ahead and switch create type to avatar create, and then you're gonna leave the title alone for now. What you're gonna do is go back to assets. Just go ahead and click where it says assets right here. Go back to your folder where you have your model and the prefab, and you're gonna click and drag the prefab of your model where it says asset reference. But do make sure it's the prefab. If you're not sure which one is which because it says the same name, you can click on the actual thing and it'll tell you its name in the inspector. So prefab asset, so I know which one is which. Now, you could also change the name if you do want to. Just in case, I am going to call it test, so I know which thing it is I'm making. But then we're going to hit create. Now that you created it, when you open up test in the palettes, you'll see avatar. When you hit the little triangle, you'll see test. And then we're going to go ahead and hit generate pack assets. And then it's going to make this little preview box down here for you. So here we go. We got a little preview of the model. This is normal. It is not broken. So don't worry if it doesn't show colors. It's supposed to be a simple preview. What is it? You are doing things right. But now we're going to go ahead and actually get ready to pack the model. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to go back to where it says test. And if you're making the mod for, PC, then you can go ahead and click pack for PC. If you're making it for the quest, then pack for quest. But in my case, this is for PC, so I'm going to go ahead and hit pack for PC. So I'm going to go ahead and cut to when the model was done after I hit save and continue. So make sure you do save your project. So always continually save your project whenever you're working. The last thing you want is Unity crashing and you lose all your progress. So I'll see you back when Unity's done packing the model. Alrighty everybody, is back. So once your model is finished packing, it should have automatically opened up a file explorer with, whatever you named your model. In my case, the Arthur, I put Dwago, and then the model name I put as test, so it should automatically open that up. Now we're going to do one last thing here, okay? Just to ensure that everything works correctly, because there's been people having issues importing models and not working successfully. So what we're going to do is click the model. We're going to actually delete it. Not even joking. Legit delete it. We're going to go to where it says mirror assets right here. Or you could just go back to your full assets, but find the mirror asset folder, find palettes, click it, and actually delete that whole entire folder. And then we're going to click out of the asset warehouse, go back to stress level 0, void tools, asset warehouse, hit refresh, and recreate your palette. So there's been a bug with models successfully not being imported in the game. So it's best to delete your packed asset of your first packed model and then just remake it. Because the second time should actually fix some weird bug in the SDK and make your model usable. So we're going to go ahead and, of course, call it test, Arthur name, back to Dwago. Plus, this is a good refresher for all of you, so you know what you're doing. Hit refresh if it doesn't show that you created it. Type in whatever you want in the box. Test, version model if you want. I'm going to put it to 1. add crate, switch crate type to avatar crate. Make sure you go ahead and go back to your asset where you have the prefab. Drag and drop the prefab and asset reference. Switch the name to whatever you like. So in my case, I want it to be test. Hit create. Hit refresh. Go back to the model itself where you named it test. Generate the preset. Everything successfully generating. And now we're going to go ahead and click where it says test right here in the palette. The name of your palette. Pack for PC. And I'll be back once it's packed one more time. Alrighty, I is back, everybody. So as you can see, my model is packed once again. So we is good to go. So first thing that I like to do is go back to Unity, clear out the asset warehouse. I like to go to File, Save, because you always want to save your project. Now we're going to go ahead and minimize Unity. Hopefully I'm hitting the right box. There we go. It's my recording like icons like in the corner. So this is the little folder that opened up when we finished packing the model. And I already have a file explorer open up for where to drop my mods in Bonelab. But if you don't know how to find this, you're just going to be going to your app data, local low, stress level 0, Bonelab, and mods. What is it? Section of your PC. Pretty much the actual documentation. What is it? To stress level 0 provided. If you actually go to avatars tab, which actually has all the info that you need, which is all the info that I'm actually sharing to all of you, teaching you how to mod. It actually tells you, the PC default. So, you can actually technically just copy and paste this, but you want to switch where it says users to whatever is, or my bad, this part. The username part, you want to switch it to whatever is the name of your PC, but it's pretty much straightforward. Once you open up that file location in File Explorer, you're going to take your mod that you took, and you can just go ahead and right click, copy, right click on the actual file or folder for where you're going to put the mod, and paste it. So we got it in. And now the next step is I'm going to actually boot up into Bonelab and show you that it is working. So I will be back, and I will be recording once I'm in Bonelab, and I'll show you that we got our test model in. So for you guys, it'll be a second. Alrighty, everybody. So we're in Bonelab now, and as you can see, I got hands and everything. I'm one of the default avatars. Unloaded into a map called Halfway Park. So don't worry, there's nothing to go ahead and spoil the game for you in case you haven't played the whole story or anything. But here we're at the body mall because I haven't played the story enough to unlock that one like avatar switching thing. So you can browse all the avatars, but when you go ahead and hit the plus button, you're gonna see we got test. What is it right here? And if we select it, you can see that we can see the model right up there. And then we're gonna hit confirm, and we're the model now. So it auto defaults some stats. So it made me 5'4". Sad part is I actually am that short, but you can see I am my model, and gives you all sign abilities. But we are now playing as the test model. What is it of my Sona? So yeah. I mean, you can pretty much do whatever you want now at this point. You successfully got a model into the game. I almost broke my game right there. But, yeah, so, I'm gonna spawn in a gun. I want a gun. So, let's go to gun tab. Let's get any pistol for me. What is it? Spawnables. I need some ammo for my gun, so I want some light boxes. There we go. Gonna get out of that menu screen. Force grab some ammo. But yeah, see, my model's working just fine. So no problem there. I can shoot gun. I can still put away gun away in both spots. However, depending how you make the model, it will make it kind of funky. I believe if I'm playing through a Quest 2 using virtual desktop, to do PC VR streaming. So, and if I hit to back out into like the virtual desktop view, I believe my Bonelab should show you the view of like the model. So give me a sec. So yeah, you should be able to see my model now, basically in its frozen state. And, you know, moving around for you guys to see, the holsters do get auto applied for you. So depending on how your model is made, either your holsters are going to be perfect or they're not. And also, this ain't 100% perfect, you know, way of tuning the model, because I'm a noob, I'm an amateur. I just know how to import the model in, don't really know how to fine tune. So you're going to notice some weird things, like it being kind of twisted on the hands. And also, in certain maps, I noticed that you have like this like pool toy kind of like weird effect on the model. But this only happens on specific maps. I did notice that when you're playing like in the main story maps, you have perfect flat like shaders, the way that it looked like in Unity. But hopefully, you know, you're satisfied, you're happy, you learned how to get yourself a model into Bonelab. So definitely leave a comment down below telling me how you think I did on the tutorial. Subscribe if you're brand new. I appreciate likes and some shares, and yeah, that's really it. So once again, hope y'all enjoyed, and dog is out. Bark bark bow wow. Roar XD. Enjoy modding avatars into Bonelab.